Rocco Domenico Rocky Colavito, Jr. is a former right fielder in Major League Baseball best known for his years with the Cleveland Indians. He wore a number 6, number 7 or number 21 jersey during his MLB career. Colavito was the fifth player in American League history to have 11 consecutive 20-home run seasons, exceeding 40 home runs 3 times and 100 runs batted in 6 times during that span. He also led the AL in home runs, RBI and slugging average once each. Hitting all but 3 of his 374 career home runs in the AL, he ranked behind only Jimmie Foxx and Harmon Killebrew among the league's right-handed hitters when he retired. In 1965, playing every game, he became the first outfielder in AL history to complete a season with a perfect 1.000 fielding percentage, and his 1272 AL games in right field ranked 8th in league history at the end of his career. He currently lives in Berks County, Pennsylvania. Childhood in the Bronx, Colavito grew up in the Bronx as a devoted fan of the New York Yankees, particularly Joe DiMaggio. By age 9 he was playing semi-pro baseball, and he dropped out of school at age 16 to pursue a baseball career. Major League rules called for a player to wait until his school class graduated before signing, and only a special appeal allowed him to go pro after a 1-year wait. The Yankees expressed little interest in him, and the Philadelphia Athletics had to bow out due to financial problems. The Cleveland Indians finally signed him in 1950, with 2/3 of his signing bonus deferred until he progressed in their system. He spent most of the next 6 years working his way up. With the Indianapolis Indians in 1954, Colavito would hit 38 home runs and accumulate 116 RBIs. A sensation in Cleveland, after breaking in with the Indians briefly in 1955, he started 1956 in the Pacific Coast League, once showing off his throwing arm by hurling a ball over the center field wall from home plate, with his longest mark at 436 feet. He returned to the Indians in July, and after batting .276 with 21 home runs he earned 1 vote in the AL Rookie of the Year voting. After slipping to a .252 average in 1957, in 1958 he batted .303 with 41 home runs and 113 runs batted in, and finished 3rd in the MVP balloting. He also led the AL in slugging with a .620 average, the highest by a right-handed Indians hitter until Albert Bell in 1994. 1 year later Colavito became the first Indian to have 2 40-hour seasons. With 42, he tied Harmon Killebrew for the AL lead and was 1 short of Al Rosen's club record. He finished 4th in the MVP vote, and also made the All-Star team for the first time. He was eventually chosen in 6 years, including both All-Star games in 1959, 1961 and 1962, when 2 were played annually. On June 10, 1959 he smashed 4 homers in consecutive at-bats in a single game at the Baltimore Orioles' cavernous Memorial Stadium. He later hit 4 home runs on the same day while playing for Detroit, but they were distributed between the 2 games of a doubleheader. The Indians finished 5 games behind the Chicago White Sox in the 1959 pennant race, the closest he would come to a title until 1967. Colavito would hit 30-plus homers 7 times, establishing himself as a major power hitter and as an excellent fielder with a strong arm despite being flat-footed. Sent to Tigers in blockbuster deal, Colavito was easily the Cleveland fans' favorite, with his handsome appearance and approachability, always accommodating the hundreds of autograph seekers after each game even if it took a few hours. But just days before the opening day of the 1960 season, Indians general manager Frank Lane traded him to the Detroit Tigers for Harvey Kane, who had won the 1959 batting title. The trade proved to be a good one for the Tigers but a terrible, unpopular one for the Indians, whose fans lost their favorite player and best hitter. Kane had a minor injury early in the season and was traded away by the end of the year. Lane, whose reputation as a wheeler-dealer earned him the moniker Frank Trader Lane in the sports press, further irritated fans by saying, "What's all the fuss about? All I did was trade hamburger for steak." Tigers GM Bill DeWitt jokingly responded that he liked hamburger. In 1961 with the Tigers, Colavito enjoyed career highs of 45 home runs, 140 RBI and 129 runs scored as the team led the major leagues in scoring. He placed 8th in the MVP race. While in Detroit, he played left field, because Alkaline was established in right field. Yet Tiger fans didn't take to him the same way as those in Cleveland, preferring the more consistent Kane. And sports writer Joe Falls, who viewed Colavito as a self-ordained deity, started a feature chronicling the runs he failed to drive in. In one game, Falls acting as the official scorer charged Colavito with a controversial error, and the outfielder tried to attack him. And on May 12, 1961, he was ejected from the game after climbing into the stands to go after a drunken fan who had been insulting his wife and father. The Detroit journalist kept a statistic on Colavito during his years as a member of the Detroit Tigers. When Colavito stranded a runner, Falls would give him an RNBI. This infuriated Colavito and created a tense relationship between the two for several years. After his excellent 1961 season, he drew the local fans' criticism by holding out for a higher salary than established team star Alkaline. Returned to the Indians. He was traded to the Athletics after the 1963 season, but spent only 1 year with the team, becoming one of the youngest players to reach the 300 home run mark. In 1965, with Gabby Paul running the Indians, Colavito was brought back. But to obtain a slugger in a 3-team deal, Paul had to send the White Sox pitcher Tommy John, who would play until 1986 and win 286 games after the trade, as well as Tommy Agee, who won the Rookie of the Year award in 1966, then became the New York Mets top hitter in 1969 as they won their first pennant. Colavito made his last years in Cleveland worthwhile, making the All-Star team in 1965 and 1966 and placing 5th in the 1965 MVP vote after leading the league with 108 RBI and 93 walks while finishing among the AL's top 5 in home runs, hits and runs, as well as playing without an error in the outfield. In July 1967 he was traded to the Chicago White Sox after hitting only .241. He hit .221 with the Sox, who finished 3 games out of first, and was sent to the Los Angeles Dodgers before the next season, batting .204 with 3 home runs in his National League debut. Later in that final season of 1968, with his last team, his boyhood idol Yankees, he became the last position player until Brent Mayne in 2000 to be credited as the winning pitcher in a game, earned in a scoreless 2 2/3 inning relief appearance in the first game of a doubleheader, against his former team, the league-leading Detroit Tigers. Not only did he face down Alkaline and Willie Horton, he further vexed the Tigers by scoring the winning run for the Yanks in the 8th inning. He also homered in the second game. Colavito's pitching feat was not seen again in the AL until May 6, 2012, when Baltimore Oriole Chris Davis earned a win. Later career, Colavito coached for the Indians in the 1970s and the Kansas City Royals in the early to mid-1980s. In 1982 Colavito and Royals manager Dick Howser were involved in a traffic accident and struggle with police. Howser and Colavito were convicted of interfering with police and received 90-day jail sentences. Both successfully appealed and served 6 months of probation. Colavito was involved in the 1983 Pine Tar game and was ejected for arguing the umpire's decision to negate George Brett's home run and call him out, which would have given the Yankees the win. Legacy: in his 1,841-game career, Colavito batted .266 with 374 hours, 1,159 RBI, 971 runs, 1,730 hits, 283 doubles and 21 triples. As an outfielder, he recorded 33 23 putouts, 123 assists, 26 double plays, and committed 70 errors in 35-16 total chances for a .980 fielding percentage. In 1976 he was voted the most memorable personality in Indians history, and in 2001 he received a huge ovation at the introduction of the Indians All-Century team. In 1994, Terry Pluto, who covered the Indians for the Plain Dealer in the 1980s and became the top sports columnist for the Akron Beacon Journal, published The Curse of Rocky Colavito, a book that tried to explain why the Indians had not come within even 11 games of first place since 1959. His explanation was that the trade of Colavito in 1960 sent the team on a path to mediocrity that lasted more than 3 decades, also suggesting that the trade to bring Colavito back was as bad as the one that sent him away. When the Indians finally won their first pennant in 41 years in 1995, Pluto wrote a sequel, bearing the curse. The Indians also won the pennant in 1997, but lost the World Series both times, the second time after needing just 2 more outs in Game 7 to win. Insisting that the curse was still in effect, Pluto wrote Our Tribe, A History of the Team, in 1999. As of 2013, the Indians have not won another pennant since 1997, and have not won the World Series since 1948. The book Portrait of a Franchise, an intimate look at Cleveland Indians baseball during the Rockin' 60s by Doug Hercules reflects on Colavito's unique contributions to the Indians, and argues a case for his induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. On July 29, 2006, Colavito, along with Ray Chapman, Addie Joss, Sam McDowell, Al Rosen, Herb Score and manager Al Lopez, was inducted into the Cleveland Indians Hall of Fame. See also, List of top 300 Major League Baseball home run hitters, List of Major League Baseball players with 1,000 RBI, List of Major League Baseball RBI champions, List of Major League Baseball home run champions, batters with 4 home runs in one game, 1961 Detroit Tigers season, List of Major League Baseball hitters with 6 hits in one game. References: Baseball, The Biographical Encyclopedia. Kingston, New York, Total Sports Illustrated. ISBN 1-892129-34-5. External links, career statistics and player information from Baseball Reference, or Fangraphs, or the Baseball Cube, Baseball Library, Career Highlights, Baseball Almanac, Cleveland Indians Press Release, July 11, 2006, Indians Hall of Fame.